interesting thing about your movie, why I made a curator's pick of the Hollywood Fringe Film community, heart,
This is another great episode of the Film Review.
We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. Stay tuned. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D. Tracy. And this is the Film Review. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. We are the husband and wife team that review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. Sunday at 5:30 on Crazon Dion page on Facebook. Live stream. The Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. This is the Film Review. What's going on, people? Welcome to another great episode of the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're your hosts. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We are the husband and wife team.
Yeah.
Making it happen. So, how you doing? How's this week been for you?
Good.
Hopefully everyone's week's been good. We have a lot to discuss. You know, as I began to go on ahead and populate, you know, that's how we do. So we have a lot of great movies that we're going to discuss.
A lot of great movies.
You know, we got a jam-packed situation.
Yeah.
And then we got some things within politics to really talk about. You know what I mean? So, before we get started, I would like to say again, thank you for tuning in and watching us. Let me just tell people that we are on. Let's see. Go back here.
It was a nice week. The weather is some days warm, some days a little cool.
Let me tell you something.
Overall, it was
being kind. My wife is surely being kind about the weather. Listen, this right here, this weather can be here, that's happening right here in Las Vegas right now, can be rather, how can I say it?
well, unpredictable.
Depressing. Really. I mean, it can really be depressing. I don't know why. When we moved out here, now 7 years ago. 7 years ago this month.
Yep.
Right? When we moved out here because we love the change of seasons coming early. Because back home, because of the lake effect, we only see like really 2 months of warm weather, really. Other than that, it's rainy, it might be dreary, or warm one day, cold the next. You got a jacket on. It's like what they've been experiencing now in between season is supposed to be spring. They've seen swings from 80 down to 40. They've seen snow. They have that vortex running through again, right? So coming out here, when we got out here February, the trees were budding already, right? And let me type this in. And the trees were budding, and it was like a different experience. But certain things have been happening lately, including dumping, building.
Yeah, titanium.
Yeah. If you didn't know, the guy with the rock on the place where they hunt called the End Head. I can't think of his name right now, but he's in head of the
Rick.
Him. Yeah, he's
head of energy.
Yeah, he's in head of the energy department, and they snuck in, bringing in spent titanium in barrels and putting it down in the underground areas underneath Las Vegas. So that's one thing. And then at one time they were talking about bringing spent.
Oh, Rick Perry.
Rick Perry,
Yeah.
right.
At one point, he was a candidate for president.
Yeah. He was running after Bush had got off of office.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the same type of goofy type guy that you'd be like, hey, we don't want you in office. We had 8 years of Bush. Right. So he was running at the same time in 2008. And he didn't get the nomination. I forget who got the nomination then. I know in 2012 it was the Mormon, right?
Oh yeah.
Who had got it, right? But I forget. Oh, it was McCain, John McCain.
Yeah.
John McCain. But anyway, those are whole other stories. But anyway, so they put spent titanium underneath, used in whatever they used it for. And they were also trying to put uranium and also nuclear waste underneath the ground as well in Las Vegas, but that was stopped supposedly.
Right.
So we don't know what exactly is going on with that right now, but we know that the weather situation is changing. Now, for all those who don't know, Las Vegas, places like Las Vegas, places like China, places like Los Angeles are considered stable environments, right? And what that means by stable environment is that after you pass the stratosphere, not the stratosphere of the monument, but the stratosphere in the air, it's a closed system, meaning that pollution cannot escape. An unstable system would be like Cleveland, Ohio, and what they say unstable, meaning that gas can escape up into the upper atmosphere, rain comes to clean out the atmosphere, and it's cloudy sometimes, sunny sometimes. But when you have a stable closed system, the system is you get sun and clear skies, and what we've been experiencing out here has been more like an unstable open system instead of a closed system. That's why if you watch, like when you were seeing when they talked about the Chinese and how they destroyed their ecosystem because of all the factories and the pollution, because the pollution couldn't escape, so they had smog. And so that's what was happening in California in late 70s. They had a lot of smog, so that's why they went into doing the cleaning up as far as the smog testing on cars and everything, to make sure that their cars were up to par and wouldn't contribute to the closed system and the smog destroying the ecosystem. So that's why when you see China is moving into the continent of Africa and building there and trying to find an escape from what they have destroyed, this is what it is. So here, when you see clouds in the sky and you see it raining and it's cold one day, warm the next, that is not how it usually is in Las Vegas. So something has happened. I don't know if it's the building or what they have brought here to store here. It's starting to change the system that we live in from a stable closed system to an unstable open system. That's what you learn in geography. To be a filmmaker, because I'm not a videographer, I'm a filmmaker. You have to take those classes and know where you are, because you could be out in the desert, and you could be in the middle of an ephemeral lake and not know it. And if the flash rains did come, because flash rains are occasional in certain parts of the month, not raining like what it is right now. It's only certain times that it happens, but it'd be a flash flood. An ephemeral lake means that it's a lake bed when it's a flash flood, but afterwards it dries out and you can't tell that it's an ephemeral lake unless you know the signs. So you have to take this so you know where you are, because if you're in the desert and it flash floods, you will drown and all your equipment will be lost, and they will find your dry bones and your equipment in that ephemeral lake later, years later, if no one knew that you were out there in the desert. So that's what that's about. So this is strange weather we're having, and it's just a little bit depressing. When you say, I mean, it's depressing. It's like, you know, they get, every year there's some kind of virus. They were saying on NPR or one of the local morning programs that the people who travel here bring the different viruses, and if they didn't travel here for tourism, they wouldn't bring it. Like they were talking about the measles outbreak that happened, that people aren't immunized, and the measles, they bring the measles. But there's every year around the around January or so, if you're careful, you don't catch it. But if not, this cough that happens, and I've seen quite a few people have it. I was listening to an interview with Kwame, and Kwame had been here performing. Not that he said anything about it, but no, not Kwame, Dana Dane.
Oh, okay.
And Dana Dane coughed, and I said, "Oh, he's got that little pesky cough." Hey, Kevin Vale, thanks for chiming in. He's got that pesky cough that you don't get rid of until April, May. You know what I mean? So so it's like it's something that's here. So in between the now stable system turning to an unstable system, where you have clouds and rain and chilly one day, warm the next. You also have that comes around. Then April is traditionally the windy season in Las Vegas, and when the wind starts to come down, it comes down, and you know me. Everybody knows me. I wear a mask, and I wear it religiously. I believe in it. So that's a little thing that's going on for people who come here. If you come here in April, right now, make sure you bring a jacket with you, because it's not going to be what you expect. That's one. Two, make sure you bring some kind of mask with you, medical mask with you, so when the wind blows, you won't be taking back what is called desert fever. You won't be taking that back home to spread that in your communities, because y'all won't know how to handle that, and you'll be thinking it's a cold and it's something else. So, and you can look all this up, as we give you and drop this information on. You can always look this up. That's what we're here for, the film review. So,
lots of good movies.
Yeah, lots of good movies that we had to talk about as I'm still populating. So, we've watched a couple of films on, Netflix.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we're gonna start off with Highwayman.
Yeah, Highwayman. Yeah, we'll start out with that because we also
were all over.
Yeah, we
Amazon
saw
Prime.
Yeah, we saw Little.
Hi, Mario.
Hey, Mario. Have us give me a call, and then we can come out and interview you, and put you on the Film Review, Movies, Music, Culture, Politics, and Society as far as the Bolden Little League Baseball, because I know that you're going to want more than just cell phone. You're going to want that professional camera action, and we do that now, and we'll get it out there. It won't be as extensive as the Bolden Little League documentary that was made 3 years ago. Hey, KP Isley, how you doing? Thanks for chiming in. It won't be as extensive as that, but we will get you on there and let people know what's happening there and build more popularity for it. So give me a call when you get a chance, and then we'll get that underway.
So we was on what, Netflix, Amazon Prime,
and then also we have the
music review.
Yeah, the music review coming up. We're going to be talking about all that tonight. The music review is coming up where independent artists, hip hop, and independent artists influenced by hip hop, R&B, gospel, jazz, blues, reggae. Send in your MP3s and your videos, and we will get you on because it's the only show of its kind debuting. Looking great. Thank you. It's the only show of its kind that is debuting on April 30th that spotlights the push the independent artists so that their songs can be heard in independent film and Hollywood films. Only show of its kind. So we're going to be talking about all that tonight as we warm up. So we tell a friend, share this, share the link, let everybody know that we're on, because we got a lot of big things that we're going to be talking about tonight and talking about the movies. Yeah. And so I'm still populating here. The more I populate, a little longer it takes, but we always have conversation for you in between that time. So yeah, so we just finished talking about what's happening in Las Vegas right now. If you haven't been watching, you need to watch the replays on YouTube. Right. Make sure that you subscribe. It's the Film Review channel. Yeah. TFR, and you go there, you ring the bell so you can stay up with us, because when we finish, this is changed into the magic of Hollywood. It's changed into
the film
background. Right. So all right, so we got that part done. All right, so let's see where we're going to start.
The Netflix.
Yeah.
Okay, so The Highwayman.
The Highwayman.
Starring Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson. And when we saw that those two actors
were in it,
right, we said, okay, automatically it's going to be a good film. And it was. And so based on the true story, two highwaymen who were hired to capture Bonnie and Clyde.
Well, tell them they were Texas Rangers.
Yeah, Texas Rangers.
They were former Texas Rangers, and the governor is played by Kathy Bates.
Yeah, she shut down the program.
Yeah,
right?
she had shut down the program and had retired them and said that she wasn't necessarily needing them anymore because J. Edgar Hoover in Washington had the FBI, and she was more leaning on the FBI to solve crimes in Texas now, right?
And her name was Miriam Ferguson, known as Ma. And who knew that years ago there was a female governor? So
who knew, right? Yeah. So, they were former Texas Rangers, and they were heralded for killing up like more than 50 bandits, in other hand, but in the Mexican terms it's bolero or whatever. But they were heralded with killing up those many people, and within the story as it unfolds, there's a certain regret to that, right? But this is the story of the two men who put the team together that eliminated Bonnie and Clyde. Right? And so this is what this story is about. And it's based around, I could truly say that this is another example where this is a love story between a man and a woman, and the woman believing in the man enough to let him go off and do what he does best. And so continue.
Let's see, the cast of The Highwaymen. Matter of fact, Kim Dickens, who played Kevin Costner's wife, I knew her from the HBO show, the Larry Davidson show. So Larry Davidson, and she did a great job playing his wife. Matter of fact, I think for this film they aged her a little.
I thought that was just natural. White does crack. That's what I thought that was.
She did a really good job. Kathy Bates, Jane McNeil, John Carroll Lynch, Thomas Mann, William Sadler, Jess Boyd, Joss Ventura, Emily Brose, and W. Earl Brown.
Okay, we're going to tell you from the top that this is not a movie for children, to watch. Not necessarily. Not unless you're going to be able to explain to them, because this is a violent picture.
Yeah.
Okay. So the plot line. there's a person who used to be, I guess, in head of the Texas Rangers that is within her staff,
Right.
within Ma's staff,
Right.
and he says, "Hey, we need to get Kevin Costner's character to go out there and do this because Bonnie and Clyde would shoot up and kill up lawmen. They will always get away."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was all within the area of Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, things like that. But they would never leave. They would always just circle around, and it was always a spree. So, but you learn that later in the movie under Kevin Costner. But anyway, as the onion is pulled back.
Yeah.
But you find that they kill up lawmen. So he said the person that could do it was Kevin Costner's character, right? And Woody Harrelson is who Kevin Costner should go along for the ride to get this. But make no mistake about this, Woody Harrelson is in this picture, but make no mistake about it, this is a Kevin Costner film. Ken Evans, what's going on? Thanks for chiming in. Urban Chambers here in Las Vegas, head of. Make no mistake about it, this is a Kevin Costner film.
Yeah.
When it's time for the action to be done, Woody Harrelson is in the back. When there's any dialogue to be talked about as far as talking to people, it's definitely Kevin Costner. He is the hero of the film. Woody Harrelson is not a dual role where it's a buddy film. It's not a buddy film. You may think it is, but it's not.
But he is his right hand man.
He is his right hand man, but it is not a buddy film. They do not. This is not Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Okay, it would be like Dancing with Wolves, and what's his name would be one of the Indians, or it would be the traditional Lone Ranger, and Woody Harrelson would be Tonto. When all the action happened, Tonto wouldn't be there. Not like the latest one with Arm and Hammer and what's his name, where Tonto was the smartest man in the room, where all the so-called minorities were all the smartest men in the room. Not like that one.
Well, in this film, The Highwayman, I didn't realize that Bonnie and Clyde, they were really, really brutal.
They were brutal.
Like the murders were brutal. So it's no real spoiler alert because people should know about Bonnie and Clyde. They should read. Hey, D'Angelo.
Hey, what's going on, D'Angelo? Thanks for chiming in. So there is no mystery, and we're not going to be doing any spoilers about it because everyone knows this story.
Right.
But we are going to tell this story. So when I'm saying it's no spoilers, that means that you should know this story already because it's been out.
Right.
What's his face and what's her face?
Faye Dunaway and Robert Redford.
No, not Robert Redford. The other guy who played I can't think of his name. Who played with Halle Berry in that film. The guy with the red hair. I can't think of his name. He also played old guy.
Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty. That's right. They played.
Was he?
Yeah. He. It was his film.
Oh.
He directed it. Remember they got up there at the Oscars.
Oh yeah,
and blew it.
And
they blew it that year, and she was acting. Faye Dunaway was acting all.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another story for another time.
So what would you give?
No, wait. Let's go through it. We got to go through it because we're gonna go through it. You got to know what's happening. Yeah. So the two men, what's their real names? The two men who played it. You can go through and pick that up real quick. But these two men were, like we said, ex-Rangers. Yeah. Because the program had beat.
Okay, so former Texas Rangers. Okay, so Frank Hammer was played by Kevin Costner.
That's right, Frank Hammer. He's the lead.
Yep, and Monty Galt was played by Woody Harrelson.
And he was just supporting cast. Yep. Right.
Yeah.
So these two men are hired by the person who's in her cabinet. Yeah. To go out and do this. He said, did you get free reign and you're able to get it? I guess, $130 a month was good money then.
Well,
because,
initially,
at first he thought it was going to be like $150,
Yeah.
but they had cut it by $20.
Yeah.
But I guess $130 is pretty good money for back then, because it was a depression was going on at the same time. The Dust Bowl was going on. And if they keep on doing this around here with this building, we're going to see some Dust Bowlers. But anyway, that's another story for another time. So he gets free reign.
Right.
And the first thing he does, he stops at a gun shop.
Oh,
And he just cleans the gun shop out. He gets the latest automatic weapons,
Everything.
rifles, shotguns, pistols,
Right.
and he goes out there and then he actually tries to pull up on Woody Harrelson, but Woody Harrelson is in a bad way because his little farmhouse is in foreclosure.
Right.
So he decides to turn, but Woody Harrelson's eyes were always so good. These are story beats that they tell you within the film without having the person to say it. You just figure it out. Oh, his eyes were always so good, because there he is. Once he comes from out the gun shop, there he is sitting by his car. He knew the make of car. He knew who was sitting in the car. And he said, well, you could have came and talked to me, but I do want to go. So they go out on this situation.
Right.
So the first thing they do is they wind up back in Texas, in the Texas town where they come from. They're planning on coming home. And how they figured that out was Kevin Costner looks at a map and he says this is their route, and they always come back around this time. So he figured that out, and he goes and he tells one of the sheriff's deputies, and then the sheriff's deputies somehow go tell the FBI. So they're surrounded, but kind of find out they were laughing and scoffing at them.
Right.
But what actually happens is, as they were coming into town, Bonnie and Clyde was coming into town, they wasted 2 police officers. And that's when you find out how skilled the 2 are versus the FBI G-men. And then the story really kicks off from there, and you find them. But this is a brutal picture. And this is one thing that I will never understand about people. Bonnie and Clyde were considered folk heroes. Right? Women would dress in the beret, like Bonnie. Men wanted to dress like Clyde, and they wanted to seem like them, right? But there's a scene in the film where they're just about to get them, when the crowd comes around the car and realizes it's Bonnie and Clyde, and they want to get autographs and take pictures and do all that, and it slows down the process. Okay. But one thing is strange, because those people, I'm sure there were a lot of people who were mistakenly identified as Bonnie and Clyde, and the police probably had to pull back. There's probably some people who got killed being Bonnie and Clyde. And so there's a scene in the film at a filling station where Kevin Costner's character gives the reason why people should not be looking up to Bonnie and Clyde. And the reason is they had killed the 2 police officers, and the guy in the filling station guy said, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to tell you anything.
The people in their town, they were really, really loyal.
They were loyal to him. But this was going into Oklahoma by this time. And this was the only filling station between where they came from, Texas, and on to their next point, right? So there was no filling station for miles. And he says, I'll never tell you anything. So Kevin Costner kind of brutalizes him a little bit and says the 2 police officers they shot down, their family will be on the soup line tomorrow. And so that's what people have to understand while they're talking about folk heroes, that the people who are just doing the law aspect of it are going to be their people are going to be on the soup line tomorrow. So they may be folk heroes and may be stealing from the rich and providing to the poor or whatever, but in the end they're making more poor people,
because they were compared to Robin Hood.
So
as it goes along and as the story goes along, the onion starts to peel back in certain revelations to give people another thought process coming from the mind of lawmen. And I was thinking of all the times that the different things that happen in the film, had they been black, they probably just would have shot them all up and not thought nothing about it. They said, we got to shoot in the crowd and do all that. It would have been a different thing.
Yeah.
So what I did like about the film, though, you know, the film is good all the way around.
The acting is superb.
But you get to see not only just all white people in the film. You know how you watch a film, it's a period piece, and all you see is white folks in the film. Well, you got to see black people in the film. They had some Asian people in the film. So in these films of trying to be inclusive, they have begun to include people. So we have to give it that. But if you're on, it's Amazon Prime? Netflix. If you're on Netflix and you want to see a good film that has a nice period piece to it, the storytelling through picture form, excellent. The period piece of dressing the actors, excellent.
Yeah, the clothing and costume.
The acting in it, top notch. See Highwayman. So what would you rate Highwayman?
I would give Highwayman like a 7. It was a good film.
Give it a 7.
Yeah, 7's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I give it a 7.
Yeah.
Because
there was no soundtrack.
Yeah. It's no music soundtrack then. It's more straight ahead.
Yeah.
You know, moving. So we can't say that, but it was good. It's worth seeing. 7 is good. You know.
Yeah.
You know, on the bell curve. Yes. So definitely see that. So that was that one. Now, we saw a film on Amazon Prime.
Oh, excellent film.
Excellent film. It is written, directed, produced by Donald Glover. Childish Gambino.
Guava Island.
That's right. And it is co-starring
Rihanna.
What is that? Rude Girl?
Yeah.
Rude Girl?
Yeah.
Or Rude Gigi or
Rude Girl.
Yeah. So
Rihanna Navy.
Yeah, that's right.
Rihanna
So
Navy.
she's we're going to talk about this right now, okay? So after his performance at Coachella, the movie released, and you know, the internet is one of the most interesting developments of the 20th century going into the 21st century, I just say, because you're able to research stuff and see it in real time. So as he was performing, I saw this in real time and I said, hey, we need to watch this on Amazon Prime. I said, this is going to be good. I watched the trailer. You know, anything that sounds kind of bossa nova to me with a guitar, with an acoustic guitar, I'm in. So as he's sitting there in the trailer scene and he's playing this melody and she comes out, the trailer, the 1 minute and 13-second trailer catches you and then you want to see more. So we sat down, we found it. It actually should have been in the lineup of new films, but we caught it, Guava Island, and we said, let's watch this.
So type it in. You have to go to the search.
You have to go to the search and type in Guava Island. Guava Island. But go watch it after this. So
excellent
film. So it's about an island that has a worm. It's a funky worm. No. I'm getting ready to go into Funky Worm by the Ohio Players, but I will stop right there. I will pull back. But it's a worm and it produces this fine
Silk.
blue
Yeah.
silk
Yeah.
that is not seen anywhere else on the planet.
Nope.
And when men looked upon it, they said how beautiful it was, and it was love.
Yeah.
But where there's love, there is hate. And so the red crew comes in, takes over the island, and begins to produce it as a commodity. And they work the people to death on the island. So years pass as the story is being told, and you come into meeting Steven, and I can't remember what Rihanna's character's name is, but you meet these two,
Coffee,
and they are together
right?
within the picture. And we're gonna stop right there so we can go through the cast real quick.
Yeah, starring, excuse me, Rihanna, Donald Glover, Leticia Wright. We know her from the film Black Panther.
That's
She
right, she's
plays
the
the
sister.
scientist's sister.
Uh-huh.
And also starring Nunso Onozi.
Right.
That's the case.
So, and Nuso Onozi is the owner
Right.
of the Red Company that produces fine blue silk fabrics and fine blue silk clothing that goes out around the world from Guava Island.
Yep, red cargo.
That's a red cargo, that's right. And so Danny Glover's character, Steven,
Donald
Glover, Danny. They should do a movie together. But anyway, Donald Glover's character, Steven, is wants to have a festival where people take one day off. Just take one day off because they work 7 days a week, nonstop, no breaks, no vacations, nothing. And they just want to take this time to have this one day festival, music festival, where everybody can dress up in their finest and come out and enjoy themselves.
And the thing about it, it was like after work. Like literally when they got off of work, they went home and got ready and went to the festival that evening.
I'm calling him Steven, but his name is Danny. I don't know why I was calling him Steven. That's another movie. But Danny Glover's character, Donald Glover's character is Danny. So let's get that right. So he wants to do this festival, and he's also the pitch man for the Red Company.
Right.
He's on the radio twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, advertising and pushing the greatness of this company.
Right.
And so the man,
the owner,
pulls him to the office and gives him an ultimatum, and then the movie kicks off from there.
Yeah.
And as I said, but
great music.
Then the whole soundtrack is ChildishGambino.
Yeah.
And he even does a rendition of "This Is America."
Yeah, he does.
Which is pretty interesting. It has a slightly different backbeat pattern to it.
Yeah.
But what is really uncanny and what is strange about this film is it art imitating life or life imitating art? There's a scene where the festival is broken up because there are some shots fired, and it causes ChildishGambino's character Danny to bolt from the stage, and everybody is boating, but he boats back into a place where there's no outlet, and through the winding catacombs of buildings, and he winds up and he looks and he sees something, but he's shot down, and then the person comes up and then they shoot him in the head. And I said, wait a minute, when was this done? Right? When was this done? Because by the way, when you watch it, you'll see there's inevitability there, right, in the story. So that's not really a spoiler, but it's inevitability in the story. But he's shot down, and then the guy comes and shoots him in the head. And I said, wait a minute, this is just like Nipsey Hussle. It's just like it. I'm like, this was shot. He shot it months ago in Cuba.
Yeah.
And for this to happen and for you to see, it's like a total parallel.
Yeah.
It's like Danny equals Nipsey Hussle. The Danny character is fiction.
Right.
Nipsey Hussle is in real life.
Yeah. Because Danny's character is a hero in his community.
That's right. And he wants the best for his community. So he wants them to have a one-day festival after working hard all of these years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Give the people something like Nipsey Hussle wanted Crenshaw in South LA to remain in black hands and economics built in the black community and keep that a black community and not be re-gentrified.
Yeah, because Danny inspired his community. Like in the film, you'll see him walking through the streets and people are speaking to him, hitting his hands.
Everyone knows Danny.
Yeah, you know, he's active in his church. The kids love him. Yeah. People of all ages. Everyone loves Danny.
For those chiming in, we're talking about the movie
Guava Island.
Guava Island, produced by ChildishGambino.
Yeah.
But the company, the owner of the company doesn't want them to have one day. He wants them to work and work and work to the bone and never. Matter of fact, there's an Asian guy who wants his workers to work 72. This is facts. Wants them to work 72 hours a week. You know, do you know what 72 hours a week is? Like, you would never see your family. 72 hours a week. He wants them to work 72 hours a week. Like, dude, when is enough enough? Meanwhile, the European Americans in South LA and in California and within that area, you know, anybody who knows the story about Mississippi and them going to get the police officers and bringing them up in there, they don't want South LA to remain in black hands or to even have an economic base for black people because they're trying to regentrify, right? The red owner has Danny murdered, Childish Gambino's character murdered, and people suspect that with all the hassling that the LAPD were doing to Nipsey Hussle during the time that he was acquiring the building, because he had only acquired the building for 60 days. He only had it for 60 days. And before that, they were hassling them and trying to get the people who own the lot to kick the businesses out, even though he had made it before he purchased the lot. He had made it viable again and had businesses in there, and the police would go in there and hassle because, in my opinion, the police were an arm of the powers that be, which was the government, who is in hands with builders who want to regentrify the area, so they didn't want them to have that. So it's eerily the same. And then, but both in reality and within the story, which is fiction, it's a little too much hubris on the side of the owner and those who, if true, snuffed out Nipsey Hussle's life for this reason. It's a little too much hubris, because in the end, in the film, they got their day
anyway,
and in the reality, the marathon is bigger and greater than ever, and people are there to push for it to still be there. And the streets were aligned, and he had his homegoing service, the funeral, and people were there. And so it's backfiring, and instead of causing disunity, it's through his passing, it has created unity. Now, there was a meeting at the City Hall, and they were talking about they were honoring Nipsey Hussle. So they had people flew in from all over the world, as well as residents of South LA, which used to be called South Central, but they said they're calling it South LA because they're trying to re-gentrify it. But so anyway, South LA, and each one they got up and spoke, and they talked about why they should change Crenshaw and Slauson to Nipsey Hussle Square. And so each group of people came up. People came from Houston. People came from Washington, D.C. People came all the way from Africa. People all over, people came. And they spoke. So I'm looking at the footage, and I'm watching it because Stretch Sanders posted it. So I'm sitting there watching it, and then I watched that, paused it, did some more, came back to finish up watching. So what I noticed is most of the people who got up there and told the consul to stop giving lip service and actually be about what you say, because he was a person that was about what he said. He walked the walk, he walked the walk, he talked the talk, and he walked the walk. And so they were supposed to vote on it. And so the guy stands up, who is, I guess, the council person for that area. Black guy. I can't think of his name right now. It's insignificant because of what actually happens, in my opinion. It's insignificant. But he stands up and he puts the motion that it should be put on the docket to vote. And they said, everyone unanimously voted and said aye. So the people in the audience thought it had been passed through. Yeah, because
everyone applauded.
Right, started applaud, and they said no, we haven't voted for it yet. So then another black councilman got up for another area, and he said he supported it, right? But then you had all of these rest of these council people that were sitting around the table, and next thing you know, the black councilman from that area stands up and he says, we should call roll to suspend our business, the rest of the business for today, in honor of Nipsey Hussle. But I said, wait a minute, aren't they supposed to be voting for this? Yeah. Right? But they suspended voting for it. So it was strange. So I said, well, wait a minute. So then they stand around and he starts talking about what Nipsey Hussle did to put it into the record and all that, and he had his family stand behind it. I thought when the family came in, I thought it was a shoe-in. Vote on it and let people know who you are so you can get voted out of office. Don't wait until all the people have went back home and then you quietly vote and say that that's not going to happen. Because to me, if you rename it Nipsey Hussle Square, but you're trying to re-gentrify, you're trying to wipe all that out anyway. And so the whole thing is to be about what you say, not act like you're going to do something. They sat right up there and did it right in front of people's faces, act like they were going to do something.
His
but
family
then
his children.
Your children were there. Brother was there. Grandmother was there. Sister was there. And then they turn right around and not do it and just try to give a feel-good thing. Oh, this symbolism is enough. This feel-good situation will be enough, and then from there, they'll be able to go on. So I thought that was quite strange and peculiar, and I hope people didn't fall for the niceties and the words.
Symbolism doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't work, right.
The tangibles.
Yeah, it's about tangibles. Pass that through, and people got up there and talked about tangibles because Nipsey Hussle was about tangible. So, it's just strange, but the parallel between Guava Island and the marathon is just totally uncanny. And it's like, Donald Glover is hitting on something.
And Donald Glover, what was his color for the
Blue. They at the end they all wore blue.
In celebration of
in celebration of, and the whole
Danny.
thing was and Rihanna. Let me tell you something. First of all, Rihanna's acting in this.
Acting, yeah.
I mean, we know Donald Glover can act.
Yeah.
Because anybody saw him when he played the character when old boy was trying to go get the piano, you know that he's an actor, right? But
in Atlanta.
But Rihanna's acting in this is incredible. Rihanna is tearing it down in Guava Island. You have to see it. Her facial expressions. The close up is the money maker. Is the money in films, and when you can emote and move with your face and give that emotion, that's what she did. And when she turns to him and says, "We got our day anyway."
Yeah, she sure did.
And then he sits there like nothing will ever be the same.
Right.
And so people who try to do dirt, sometimes they suffer from a little too much hubris.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, anyway, we're not gonna go there. But they suffer from it, and things are never the same.
Right.
They have to suffer the consequences. So, in the end, what would you rate Guava Island?
A 10.
Yeah.
And I give it a 10 because of the acting. Hey, LaKayla.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for chiming in.
Yeah, I give it a 10 because of the acting, the soundtrack, the costume and hair, just the scenery, like the backdrop, you know, of Guava Island, beautiful. Well-written script. You become invested in the characters because when the film ends, you want more. Kind of like what D'Angelo had asked last week. He said, well, the film that we were discussing, he asked, is it the type of film that you want to see more?
Absolutely.
And that's how I felt about Guava Island. It ended too soon. I wanted to see more. And that's a staple of like a great film. When the film ends, you're like, what happened? I want more. I mean, when you in this film, you see
it kind of puts you in the mind.
Just want more.
It kind of puts you in the mind of Black
Orpheus.
Black Orpheus. If you have not seen Black Orpheus, it's a film that came out in the 60s. You should see it. If all those who don't know what it is, just go to YouTube and you can see and type in closing scene of Black Orpheus. And if that doesn't make you want to go watch the full movie, it's a Greek tragedy, but it's based in Brazil, and then they call it Black Orpheus because it's black players, right?
Black
retelling this story of Orpheus, right? And so Black Orpheus, if you've never seen it, you should definitely put it into your computer banks and watch it. Just type in again, ending scene of Black Orpheus, and watch that. If that doesn't make you want to go watch the film, you know, then I don't know what's going on. But anything Bossa Nova, it got me. But anyway, so, and did you know that the person who brought Bossa Nova to its greatest heights was Quincy Jones? That's right. Dun, 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 dun. That's Quincy Jones, people.
And he also
Bossa Nova.
He did the Austin Powers soundtrack.
That's right. They used it in the Austin Powers contract, right? Okay, so
but I would definitely give it a 10.
Yeah, it's a 10
across
it's a
the
10.
board.
You see, so salute to Quincy Jones for bringing Bossa Nova to its top thing. Now, did you know that Zimbabwe is planning on paying the white farmers who were displaced off their land after the Zimbabwean people are taking back the land that was stolen from them? They're going to pay white farmers who were racist. They're going to pay them for that. Now, what does that remind me of? It reminds me of that documentary 1804 by Tariq Nasheed, where it gets to the point where they decide after beating the French, and they say, hey, well, we don't want them to constantly keep coming back in because it will deplete us. They decide to sign a treaty where they pay the French for the losses that they had because they had colonized the island.
Right.
Basically had them in slavery.
Right.
And so they ended up paying them and constantly paid them now. So it's like, well, this is the type of revenue or type of whatever we would have been having over these years, so you have to pay us. So the gold is being stripped, the oil is being stripped, the raw resources is being stripped from the island. That's why Haiti is quote unquote poor, but it's rich in resources. And it's the same in the continent of Africa. It's poor, the people are poor because all the resources been put up, but it's rich in the resources that help to span the globe. And if you know anything about what racism is, it's actually a race where people who were European wanted to go out and see how they could conquer the rest of the world and use the resources to build up their places. And that's what racism partly is. So they use an army to be able to go in. And if you don't have that, then you're not racist. You're just flapping in the wind and chopping your gum. So, you know, what can be said about that? It's like history repeating itself, and we don't read his story enough to realize that, hey, we're not going to do that. Let's go another way, because that way that you're going to have us go is going to keep us in a perpetual state of aggravation, as Sister Soldier would say. Okay, so another movie that we saw is Shazam.
Yep, excellent.
Yeah, it's Shazam. So, you know, the original Shazam came on in the 1970s, and it was on the Mighty Croft show or the Mighty Croft Hour. I'm not sure. I was a babe, wee lad then, and but it was the 1970s, and it was the Mighty Croft show, and you also saw ISIS and other people within it. And really, when you think about it, when you go back and look at that thing, it was really a stoner show. You know what I'm saying? The Hanna-Barbera period during that time. Yeah. The Hanna-Barbera period. Well, you know, it came on in 77, so I'm sure that you were around. But anyway, listen. So Shazam in the 70s, it's about Billy Batson, right? Yep. But it's different than the one that you see in the theaters. But in the 1970s one, the Shazam name comes from the immortals: Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury makes up the name Shazam. It's an acronym, right? And so in the 1970s, when the Billy Batson character would say Shazam, and this is what got me, because, you know, Marvel has a character called Captain Marvel, which is a female character, a woman character who's supposed to be the most powerful within the Marvel universe, right? And so she's called Captain Marvel, and I was like, wait a minute. Captain Marvel, so it was confusing me, and then I thought maybe I had mixed it up with Captain America. But then, so I'm doing the research for Shazam, and I saw through the video, and I remembered, I said, yes, when he says the word Shazam, he's transformed into the super mortal Captain Marvel, right? So DC, in the DC universe, originally when Shazam says Shazam by the television show in the 1970s. He was called Captain Marvel after saying Shazam.
Oh.
So he wasn't Shazam.
Okay.
He was Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Right? So that's a variation of the movie. And it is not, though you see a storyline about a console,
Right.
it is not the console necessarily of the immortals that make up this acronym Shazam, right? It's different. So that's different. So we swing to 2019,
Right.
and we come to the Shazam of 2019.
Excellent.
Excellent. Let's start with the cast.
Okay, starring Zachary Levi. He played Shazam. Mark Strong, Asher Angel. Let's see, Jack Dylan Grazer, Adam Brody, Damon Hosan. It was good to see him in the film. Faith Herman, Megan Good, Grace Fulton, Michelle Borth, Ian Chain, Ross Butler, Javon Armand, DJ Kotrana, Martina Milan, Cooper Andrews, Ethan Bugado, John Glover, London Doak, Wayne Ward,
and more.
Yeah,
It's so
excellent.
many.
You know what I loved about this film is it is like truly like diverse, right? I mean,
not diverse. It's multicultural.
Multicultural.
We know what diversity
right.
means.
Okay, so multicultural, and we have black people in the film. We have white people. We have Latinos. We have Asians. Great film.
So when you're watching it, it is. I noticed in the theater as we were going in that I saw a lot of people who remember the Mighty Croft show.
Right.
I guarantee. Lot of black families in the theater, all multi groups of people in the theater.
Right.
And I know that they remembered the Mighty Croft show, so they were looking forward to seeing this film, Shazam, right?
Right.
So I am glad to tell you that it does not disappoint, because we would see the trailers as we were watching other movies before the movies would start, and I'm saying they're playing him kind of campy, and it looks like it's gonna be a comedy. This is a 2-hour plus film, because it takes you through all of the folklore and the mythos of what's going on, and what you find is that the original Shazam, which is a wizard, which is played by
with Damon.
It's basically he's played by a black man.
Yeah.
So his
Damon Hussam.
so his magic
Right.
is then transferred over to the little boy to become Shazam. So I appreciated that in the rewrite, right? That he being the last of the console to try to keep order in the world, so that the 7 deadly sins would not be released upon the people, that it was a black man that's ahead of that, right?
Yeah, produced by, I don't want to forget, produced by Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Danny Garcia. Excellent film. So plot line. Yeah.
What's so good about this film is you're introduced to the potential villain as a child first.
Right.
Then, as time goes on, you're introduced to who would be the hero of the film, right?
Right.
So you're introduced to these two entities separately, but you're introduced to the villain first, because time has to pass before you meet the person who becomes Shazam, right? So you're introduced to the villain first, whose father is just, and his brother is just dastardly to him, and that's what I say to that. They just talk him down and just make him seem like he's a geek, right? So something happens and he goes to this lair, and there's a choice to be made, but he's not the right choice.
Right.
So modern day happens,
Right.
and you're introduced to a young man who is looking for his mother back when he was about 5 or 7 years old. I want to say about 7 years old. He's at a carnival, at an amusement park with his mother, and he's trying to win a tiger, a stuffed tiger, but he ends up winning a compass on a ball on a chain. And so the ball falls out of his hand, and people start to kick it, and he loses his mother's hand, and he goes and picks it up, and he's looking for his mother, but his mother is nowhere to be found. And you know, and I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, what kind of mother is that that's not tracing for her son? And next thing you know, you see him in modern day, and he's trying to find his mother still. And so then from that point on, he's introduced to his adoptive family, right? Because he's been in and out of adoptive families, but he keeps running away because he's trying to find his mom.
So they placed him in a group home.
A group home, which becomes, later it's his adoptive family. And what's so beautiful about the film, which I'm not going to give spoilers on this, you have to go out and see the film, is the way that they use the story beats at the beginning when he's confronted by bullies. Now you've seen this in the trailer, so that's no stretch to that. His one of his group home family members is being beat up by two bullies. And he takes takes his crutch and beats him with it. And then they chase him. And then he gets away, but he gets on the subway system, and that's when he's taken to this cave, and that's when it begins, and he is turned into Shazam, and the movie kicks off from there.
I mean, the movie is well written. It's really good. It's entertaining. It'll have you laughing.
And it's some shocking people who they introduce to you.
It's shocking.
And how it is, and the story beat about the seven, about the thrones, about the seven deadly sins, which are pride, greed, lust, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Right. But they replaced sloth with envy. They replaced sloth with envy. Right. And so they replace it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, envy. The last one is envy. Pride, greed, lust, gluttony, wrath, sloth, and envy. So these are what the wizard was keeping from the world, right? And so thus what happens, what his round of 7 was the 7 virtues, which would either be prudence, justice, fortitude, temperance, faith, hope, charity, or chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, patience, kindness, and humility. So either one of those sets, depending on which set you use as far as the 7 virtues. So if you in positive inner God in you coming out to the people, you would deal with the 7 virtues. If you come from there's a God in the sky and you're looking up and there's punishment for what you do, then you deal with the 7 deadly sins. So it all depends on how you look at life and how you do, and what you find out is these entities coexist in the same area together. So again, if your inner God coming out to represent your inner God to the people, then you would deal with the 7 virtues. If you need a person over you that's going to judge you to keep you virtuous, then you look and you're judged by the 7 deadly sins, right? So that's that. So you have to go see Shazam.
Yeah, because it's entertaining, it's full of action.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are adorable in the film. The little girl that plays Darla, actress Faith Herman, she's also on the television show This Is Us.
Right.
And she plays one of the daughters. She plays the youngest daughter. So she is so adorable. The entire cast. But the thing is, there were some like shocking scenes.
There
right?
are.
And we're like, wait a minute, is this a kids film?
Is this a PG-13? Because
So-
it was kind of rough there in the
Yeah.
DC world there.
Yeah.
I think.
Not up there with Deadpool, but it was some shocking stuff.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it
Because
was shocking.
Deadpool is rated R,
It's
and it's
definitely
Marvel,
adults.
and it's. I don't know what's going to happen since the merger happened
Right.
between Warner and Fox.
I think it'll stay the same.
Hopefully, but he'll be able to have
Yeah.
more of the heroes
Oh,
in
that's-
because
yeah.
they're part of the combining the two purchases
Together,
right?
yeah.
The two commodities or
Right.
whatever. There'll be able to be more of them in there.
But you know what? This film Shazam, when it ended, we were like, definitely a franchise.
Listen, I
Definitely.
believe. Don't let the trailer fool you. The movie
It's way
is not.
better.
It's way better than the trailer. It's not campy at all.
Right.
I guess they had to put that campiness in there because the 1970s one was kind of campy just a little bit, and he was, it was for the stoner. So you had to put that in there. But this one right here,
Right.
I have to say that out of all of the DC that I've seen, we didn't
Right.
see Aquaman because the trailer kind of seemed like Black Panther underwater. Two brothers battling,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Brother, cousin battling. Look like they just took the script and ran with it and put it underwater. So we didn't see it. So we'll be reviewing that later when it comes up on one of the platforms.
Netflix or
Netflix. So
Prime.
right. We'll be reviewing that. But so we didn't see that. But out of all of the ones, the Superman, the
Yeah.
Justice League, what they put out so far,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
has to be the best
Yes.
DC Comics film
Yeah.
released in quite some time. This might be the one
Right.
that jump starts because everyone's been asked. Well, you know what else was good?
What?
The Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, of course.
Suicide
yeah.
Squad was good,
Will Smith was in that one.
right?
So you know the acting is going to be superb.
So outside of the original Batman in
Right.
'89,
Right.
when Jack Nicholson played the Joker,
Right.
So so that's a long span
Yeah.
because the other Batman, they were cool,
Yeah.
a lot of action in it,
Yeah.
right? And then the Justice League, but this right here as a character that stands alone,
It does.
right?
Yeah.
And then you get a cameo
Right.
of another
Oh yeah, you
superhero
do. You do.
at the end of the film.
Yeah.
So look out for that.
And I'm looking forward to seeing
What's
part
coming
two.
next? Right.
Yeah.
Because this right here is the
Yeah.
best
Yeah, it is
that
the
I have
best.
seen
Yeah.
since Batman, the original Batman in '89, where Prince did the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Rest in heaven, Prince.
When this film ended, and again, this is another film that could have actually gone longer because it was like 2 hours and 14 minutes, and that wasn't even enough because I wouldn't have mind sitting there seeing more. The film was so good, and then so after seeing the film, we just had to find out who the producers were, and then so when we saw that it said Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Danny Garcia, we said, no wonder. I mean, the film is so good. And the cast is multicultural. And it's like the real world. I love films that mirror the actual world. People of all ethnicities in this film, and the characters are well written and just excellent film. Shazam. You should definitely go see it.
You should definitely see it.
Yeah.
The costuming,
Yep.
excellent.
Yeah, the music.
The music in it, excellent.
Right.
The story beat.
Yeah.
There's no no doldrum in
at
the film
all. It
whatsoever.
starts off with a kick.
It starts off with a kick and keeps moving. I mean,
Right,
I said, wow, they started this film
Yeah, you
early.
did say that.
It's
You
the
did say
first,
that in the video.
once the credits roll and
Right.
you're in the car, first 5 minutes,
Right.
it kicks off and you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going
and
on
in
here?
this film, there was audience participation because you remember the one scene and the little boy.
Yeah, little boy said,
Chimed in.
say Shazam.
All the way
Please,
in the front row.
Shazam
yeah,
already.
He said, please, yeah.
Right, and so you know it was it's real good. So
Yeah.
it's crossing generations from
Yeah.
from when you saw it in the 1970s and what it stood for, and then it's tweaked
Yeah.
and brought up to date for sensibilities of audiences today.
Right.
And those who like the 1970s TV
Right.
program will love,
Yeah.
you know, will
Yeah.
love this. And those who are buffs, who are
Right.
history buffs, who want to see where things come from,
Right.
they'll love to go back and see
Yeah.
the original program, you know, where they can find it, right?
This film was truly like people of all ages was in the theater. Like we said, the little boy who we heard like across the theater saying, please, you know, chiming in on the film. And then did you see like it was an elderly man with a cane.
Mm-hmm.
He had to be in his maybe 80s. He could have been in his 90s. I mean, so it was just people of all ages.
8 to 80.
For real.
Truly 8 to 80.
Yeah, and all ethnicities. I mean, this is just a great film.
It's
It
a
was
great
hilarious.
film. Like I said, I can't stress it enough. That's why I keep on repeating it. It is the best
Yes. DC.
DC that we've seen.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll give
And
it a 10.
A 10. I give it a 10 also.
Yeah.
And Suicide Squad is up there too.
Yeah.
Ensemble cast. But I think it edges it out. Right?
Yeah.
I think it edges
I
it
think
out.
so,
I would
And
have to
Suicide
move.
Squad is like one of my favorites.
Yeah. Will
So it's
Smith
up there
character
with- it's
as
up there with
Deadshot
it.
is just excellent.
But for
I have to
2019?
drop them down to about a 9.
Who? Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad because it
Because
it edges it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then original Batman
yeah.
with the Prince soundtrack, that's
Right.
got to be an 8 now.
Right.
As we're putting them in order of
Right.
how they fall. So DC, I have to say that if they keep bringing films like
Like Shazam.
because we were like, you know, the DC world, there were articles about what happened to the DC universe.
Yeah.
It's like it's falling off. This right here
Right.
is an amazing film. So
Right.
definitely see that. So the last piece that we're going to talk about today is the new show coming out April
Oh,
30th.
we missed the film.
What film?
Little. Excellent.
Oh, we didn't do Little?
Oh, that
Oh,
was.
we had. Wait a
that
minute.
film
Okay.
gets a 10.
Okay, wait a minute.
Hilarious.
Let's go.
We saw a
through
lot
it.
of films.
Now, we giving the
this
rating
week.
before we run through it.
Well, because it was just excellent.
Okay. So,
But you knew it was gonna be
so
excellent.
Little. I asked the question.
Right.
Is who was acting just to get a paycheck, and who stole the scenes? So let's go through the cast first.
Is it Marseille Martin?
Mm-hmm.
And she was also the executive producer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Regina Hall's in the film. Issa Rae, Justin Hartley, Tone Bell. He's a hilarious comedian. If you get a chance, we saw his stand up on Showtime, so check him out. That's Tone Bell. Luke James is in the film.
No, you know him from Empire.
Yep, from
And also
Star. You know,
Star.
and
also
from the New Edition film.
New Edition film.
Yep, Luke James, excellent singer.
Who he played? Johnny Gill.
Yeah, was
in New Edition.
Oh
was
yeah,
Johnny
he was
Gill.
Johnny Gill. Yep, in the New Edition film. Mikey Day, Rachel Dratch. We know her from Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
Abigail.
And a slew of others.
But Little. So what do you think about Little?
So the Miss Martin, who's the executive producer, you know her from Blackish. She's the twin.
Yes, Diane.
You know, that's right. She's the twin on Blackish.
I love her character
Boy,
on
you're
Blackish.
right. She's the girl with the glasses.
Yeah.
And
Excuse me, but Diane as an adult, she's hilarious as a child. But to see, I mean, I could see the spinoff because they gave the older sister's spinoff Grownish. So I could definitely see Diane with the spinoff
Yeah.
And I can definitely see adult Diane because she's hilarious as a child. And just her sarcasm and sense of humor, like, as a child, is like up there with like Larry Davidson and Seinfeld. So I can definitely see her with her own spinoff.
So the premise of the movie is a woman who runs her own tech development company.
Yep.
Who was a bully, who was once bullied as a child.
Yes.
Who then runs into a child who's not taking it, and you've seen this in the previews,
right?
And
in the
she uses
trailer.
her magic wand, and next thing you know, this
Adorable.
woman is little, and she's 14 again.
Right.
And the story kicks off from there, and it is one big romp. Let me tell you, Miss Marshall, she steals every scene that she's in.
Right.
Issa Rae, we're gonna get to her in a minute, but she old girl only stands on the film for about 7 minutes.
Oh, Regina Hall.
Yeah, Regina Hall only is on the film for about 7 to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I'll give 15. She's in at 15, but the main story is pushed by what's her name again, so I can get it?
Is it Marseille Martin?
Marseille Martin, yeah. So,
They said Tracy Ellis Ross was in the film. I don't remember seeing her in the film. Which character are you looking for?
Wait a minute. They're saying she's Marseille Martin? Why do they have her picture there?
Oh, because she's little. That's her. She looks different compared to the film, but that's her.
No,
Little Jordan Sanders. She plays little Jordan Sanders, and Regina Hall plays the grown Jordan.
You know who
Sanders
they have? You know who IMDb has in the picture? They have the girl from Grownish in the picture as her, instead of having the girl instead of having the sister, her little sister, and they have her picture in there instead of having.
No, this is a little sister. This is her. She plays Diane on Grownish.
Oh, she took her glasses off. Oh wow, she looks like.
We look different when we take her glasses.
Okay, anyway, all right. So, she steals the show.
You know what? I need to add, because previously, like, IDMB goes into more detail, because that's why I had to search out the other children, because there was a great cast of kids in this film. Talia Tron played Raina. She was one of her friends in school. Marley Taylor, the little girl Stevie, the one you see in the trailer with the wine. Tucker Meek and J.D. McCreary. But okay. Yeah, they did a great job.
Right, they carry the show. So
yeah,
Little is supposed to be like the other side of Big, but it's nothing like Big.
Right.
More hilarious.
Right.
This film is hilarious.
Right.
I mean, when I say it is funny, it is funny.
Yeah.
And it is intelligent comedy. It is funny. There's no buffoonery in it. It just will have you laughing. Yeah. At some points, I was like, "This is like Uptown Saturday Night, or Let's Do It Again."
Yeah.
It's like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, the woman, the young lady, is stealing the scenes from Issa Rae. Now, Issa Rae is a talent. I don't take nothing away from Issa Rae, but there's a new dramatic film coming out with her in the lead. She was talking about it. Right?
Oh, who? Issa Rae?
Yeah, Issa Rae. She's coming out with a dramatic love story. It's going to be a dramatic love story.
Okay.
I need to see her play another role.
Okay.
Other than quirky black girl or awkward black girl or her show on HBO.
Yeah,
I need her
great show.
Insecure, but I need her to play another character to be able to show her range.
Issa on Insecure.
I mean,
her name is Issa.
I mean, yeah, she plays Issa, and then
Her character.
And then, but the character is basically the same character that was in
it
the
is.
YouTube.
But
and
good
then-
acting.
But it's
Excellent
the same.
acting.
But it's the same character in the movie,
Right. Excellent acting.
right?
Yeah.
And we need her to
Spread her wings.
and come with a new talent, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But she just came there and played the same character.
Right.
And that's like, that's kind of like Denzel, and how Denzel, no matter where he is, he has the same timbre. He has the same New York accent.
But excellent acting. It's amazing.
He was in Training Day and
Right.
he didn't talk California. He
Right.
talked New York.
Right.
Denzel Washington.
Right.
You see him in Glory and
Right.
he don't talk.
Right.
Like Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman talked
Right.
a up dialect in Glory.
Right.
But he also put in that it was Southern.
Yeah.
Denzel come on there. I just went to get some shoes. I mean, you're like, whoa, dude. Fences, same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
But his acting
is
takes it.
so good. But
Yeah.
Issa Rae has to,
Like Robert De Niro. He sounds the same, but his acting is
well, you know what? When he sounded different.
when.
He sounded different when he played in Jackie Brown.
Oh yeah.
Tarantino
Did he
brought
sound
something.
different?
Tarantino brought something. He made him play slow.
Oh yeah, he
said-
did play
and then-
slower. He was real laid back.
And then Samuel L. Jackson's character was like,
Yeah.
"What happened to you, man?
Yeah.
You used to be on it, but
Yeah.
what happened?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was slow and he was a totally different character. Anybody who haven't seen Jackie Brown, 1999, it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's one of those films where you got to get through a lot of the N word, but classic. That's when Pam Grier was, still Pam Grier. But anyway, De Niro was different in that film.
What about Samuel Jackson? His voice is, but then again, the acting is.
No, because when he did Django Unchained,
he did when he played Steven.
He was
that's
totally
true.
different.
He does change his.
And wait a minute now, when he played in the Hateful Eight,
his voice was different.
Right?
Yeah, and Idris changes his voice up a lot too.
Mm-hmm. So
that's
Issa has to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, just looking at it, I need her to be somebody else other than, because we work with actors,
right?
And when we see how the actors can transform and be something else, and so we need Issa to be something else. Though her talent is on point, A1, cannot take anything away. But I hope with this love story that we're not seeing awkward black girl, or we're not seeing what we've seen in this film and what we see on her show on HBO. Go ahead.
For Little, produced by Kenya Barris from Blackish, and then Regina Hall, Marcel Martin, and of course Will Packer. So Will Packer, he's been putting out like his.
Yeah, Will Packer's been putting out
all of his films, like everything he does.
Like, well, not everything. I didn't.
What didn't you like?
I didn't like Menage a Trois. I didn't
Who was
like
that?
Trois. That was the film that was kind of shot in blue, and it was the.
Was that him?
Yeah, that was him. That was his first film, Trois.
That was his first film.
That was his first film, and I couldn't get it.
Is that the one with Kenya Moore was in that one?
Yeah. I couldn't get it. I didn't get it.
Oh, okay, I remember that.
The threesome film.
That wasn't a bad one. That was a good film.
I mean,
but William
I'm not just going to tell the
Packer
truth,
is good,
but he is a great producer.
A great producer.
Everything that he's putting out is just killing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So storyline 10.
Yeah.
Acting of everyone involved 10.
Right. Costume, music.
Yeah.
The city
10.
What was the city's
the
backdrop?
City as a backdrop 10.
Atlanta.
Hey, the car is a character in this film.
Yeah, the car.
It
is
made
a
the car a character in this film.
Along with her penthouse is a character.
Yeah, and a character in the film 10.
Yeah.
The relationship of the children in school.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
The reconciliation within it. 10.
Yeah.
The intelligent comedy in it. 10.
I like the relationship between Regina King's character as an adult and Luke James' character.
Yeah.
That's a love story.
Yeah, it's a love story within it all.
Yeah.
She finds out. Well, you have to see the film, so you definitely have to see the
and
little,
the friendship between Issa Rae's character April and Regina Hall's character, as well as Marcia's Martin's character.
Yeah. So, what would you rate the film?
I would give it a 10 because I feel the film was entertaining from beginning to end. The acting is great. The script is great. The movie, another film that you don't want to end. And I mean, that's like a staple for me. Like if the film is like so good that you actually want to sit there and see more, I mean, that's a sign of a good film. And like the music, and just the performance. And then you can just tell like that they really, really liked each other, like making this film. Like they really, really had fun. Like the energy is there, the positive energy. You know what I liked about this film too? Like it was bright.
Yeah, it was bright. It was high key.
The colors and everything pretty, and just the pink. It was kind of like a stylish film, kind of like, I can't think of the name, but the one film we reviewed, and that was a stylish film, and the colors in the film, I have to.
The way it was shot in the high key, was perfect for the story that was being told.
Yeah.
So that's very important.
Yeah.
So you gave it a 10.
Yep.
And I give it a 10 too. So we're moving to the next topic, the Film Review Music Review Show. Listen, people, it debuts April 30th, and let me tell you, we have people from all over the country. We even have people from Africa, from Nigeria in particular, who have submitted their videos. Right? We have Alabama, we have Ohio, we have Georgia, we have Florida, we have California, we have Nevada, we have Illinois. We have people who have submitted their videos to be seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated, to be seen in independent film and a Hollywood film, because it's the only show of its kind that is pushing for these songs from independent hip-hop artists and independent artists to be seen, heard, recognized, and appreciated in independent film and Hollywood films, because the songs are just that jamming, and they can be put into scenes and clubs in sequences, a passage of time, all of that. That's what we're about here. Innovating. Always remember. You always know who was doing what in an organization by what's there and what's not there. Right? So that's what it is. And now we have to close on a sour note, but maybe not. Wendy Williams.
Oh, wait, before we get to that.
Okay.
Because I hate when stuff is on the tip of my tongue. Because
Okay.
we had reviewed this film, so of course I had to dig it up. When we talked about stylish films, the film Little, and I said there was another film when we reviewed, and it was a stylish film. The lighting, the clothing, just the whole air, like airy film, just beautifully done, right? A Simple Favor.
A Simple Favor.
Stylish film.
Yeah,
that remind me of that. Just everything, just high key, very beautiful. Like the decor of the film, the clothing, the music. The music was Bossa Nova, matter of fact.
And remember, all of those films you can go see in our archive on LordlandFilms.com/the-film-review. You can watch it right there on Lordland Films. Make sure that you ring the bell so you can stay up on what we're doing, and also subscribe. Watch, like, share, and comment. And we will comment back to you. And also you can listen to the podcast, the audio versions, on SoundCloud.com/the film review, and on blogtalkradio.com, the film review, and more. So now, as we come to this is a sad situation.
Yeah.
Wendy Williams is getting a divorce, people.
Right.
And I'm gonna let you kick this off.
All divorces, it's sad that she's getting a divorce, but in her case, it's a positive thing. It's a good thing for her.
Allegedly,
for her health.
That's right. So we have to say allegedly. Let's run this down.
Yeah.
So allegedly.
Right. So allegedly, it's been reported.
Yeah, but it's still allegedly.
That she's getting a divorce.
Well, we know that.
And if that is the case, that's good for her and her health, physically, mentally, spiritually, because of what we've learned in the news as far as her marital status and the trials and tribulations that she's been through, married to her spouse. So the divorce, if it's true, good for her. Okay, so it's been reported also through various blogs and news programs that Wendy is going to release a book.
Oh.
So that book is gonna be like really, really, really I think it's gonna be inspirational though too. Because people who may be going through the same things that Wendy is going through, they'll go through that book and it'll inspire them because right now we can see doing real time that what she's going through, and she's conquering the demons that she's battling, right? And so in a positive way, this book should inspire a lot of people to help them out of their situations, if they're going through things such as Wendy talked about her alcohol, and drug, abuse, and battling that, and her journey, and so and how she's working on it right now. We know she talks about it on her show. She's in the sober house, so she's getting treatment and all the help she needs, along with dealing with her illness.
And while in the sober house,
right,
her husband allegedly had a love child with someone that Charlemagne, the guy, brought to them when he was on her radio program, as the person who kicked off the news, wasn't it? He was kind of like Howard Stern's, I can't think of her name.
Well, Robin,
that's right. Yeah. And so this might be this book right here, because Wendy has had a book before.
Yeah, she had a book about her life before, but now.
But this might be her like Howard Stern's Body Parts. Is that what that book was called?
And they turned it into a film.
This might be her body parts, or whatever they call it.
Because I can see them definitely turning it into a film, because we know it's going to be a bestseller. Because her previous books did well, right? So we know this book is going to do well. So they said that this is why she's kind of holding back as far as what's going on in her marriage, because she's waiting to put it all in her book.
This just goes to show you how strong a person Wendy Williams really is. She took a week off, and then she had took a week off because she was battling, right? Or took some time off because she was battling. But when she came back, all this hit the fan. She took a week off, came back. She's running through her show, and she's doing her thing, and she is just a strong person throughout it all. I don't know if many people could stand up there and not crumble
in front of the public,
under the pressure, under seeing first the tabloids come out and talk about the cheating first, love child. Then one of the women who has a blog just released, Tasha K, just interviewed a guy that was signed to his production company,
Wendy's husband's production company,
and he says, allegedly, that the guy and him, Wendy's husband and him had sexual relations with each other. So, and his wife, the guy that she interviewed, his wife knows about his proclivity to be living what they call the high life.
Right. So I mean, Wendy's to learn that she's dealing with like all of this and dealing with it like a champ. I mean, so the mistress, right? Allegedly the mistress is the one who released the photo when Wendy was in sober house. The photo with her and him somewhere, right? So the mistress releases this photo, right? And then there's this daughter that the woman gives birth to, right? So Wendy's dealing with that, and then this guy comes out, allegedly he's on Tasha K's show. She interviewed him, and he was one of Kevin's lovers also. Allegedly, right? So it's just like, yeah. So we just prayers go out to her, wish the best for her and her son, and it's just like crazy because it didn't have to go this way because they started off together. Well, Wendy had her career. She was on the radio even before she was married. She was huge before she got married, like in the tri-state area, right? But then, her husband, they got married and she went into syndication on the radio, and they built together, and they have the television show, and it's just sad that this man did what he did, and he couldn't be faithful to his wife, and he couldn't be a better man because, I mean...
What's funny about the other, many times about the other woman, is how silly, in my opinion, they think. Like, if you expose this, this man is not, from what we can see, just from what we can see, is not making money, that type of money to live that type of lifestyle that you were used to him providing for you without the help of Wendy Williams, right? So his production title as producer of the show gets him a certain amount of coins to be able to live this life outside alone of whatever he does as a producer, and then them as husband and wife conjoining or joining together their finances, right? So why would you, as the other woman, basically sabotage and cut your own throat? Then they said that she had, by all the reports, that she had a man on the side. Right. And then what happens, just what happens if the baby, when they do the blood test, isn't his, he done messed up a good thing. I feel. So,
I mean, because the thing is I know Wendy said that what I believe the contract ends in 2020, right? So, like Sonny on The View said, Wendy could, when she comes back with the new show in 2020, change the title of the show, and then it's just all her. Her husband doesn't have to be a part of any of Wendy's new venture, because right now it's called the Wendy Williams Show. He's attached to that, but she can come back with a new.
I know, but when she said that on The View, I thought, oh, dude, can just go out there and just trademark him.
Yeah, but the thing is Wendy's, business savvy, and you remember she kind of alluded to, because on her show when she mentioned that she was in a sober house with a lot of, she said, people who you wouldn't expect to be there, and she was like attorneys and and she was saying other professionals, and the first thing I thought, attorneys, and then she said that she was developing like really good like friendships and bonds with these people. I'm like, okay, so they're friends, her friends are gonna look out for her, and she's getting all of this legal advice free in the sober house. I'm like, she's getting a divorce, because I know they're like, girl, you don't have to deal with this, look, this is what you need to do legally, da 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 da. So I'm quite sure, like, before all of this was released in the media, all of her T's were crossed and I's were dotted, and she's got all of that.
This is why people, as we close, this is why people should endeavor to practice the 7 virtues. Chastity, temperance, charity, diligence, patience, kindness, and humility, because if you don't, you will be subject to the 7 deadly sins: pride, greed, lust, gluttony, wrath, sloth, and envy. So this has been another great episode of the Film Review.
Next week we'll be talking about Game of Thrones season 8.
That's right. We're the husband and wife team.
Right.
I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you and see you next Sunday at 5:30, right? This is another great episode of the Film Review.
We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. We are the husband and wife team. Stay tuned. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And this is the Film Review. Stay tuned. We got a lot to talk about. We are the husband and wife team that review movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
This is the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society. We're the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
Tracy.
And we review movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
Sunday at 5:30 on Crazy on Dion page on Facebook. Live stream the Film Review. Movies, music, culture, politics, and society.
This is the Film Review.